Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Today I want to talk about parenting and some of the mistakes we make as parents. Now, firstly, let me say that I have been a school teacher for most of my life. The better part of what? Almost 15 years now I've been teaching. I've been teaching since my university days. I taught in the mosque, the Islamic school. I taught at many schools, primary schools. We call them primary schools in South Africa, but also I've taught for a number of years in international schools. And so I've worked with hundreds of kids. I also have 9 children of my own. And so I, often am faced with a lot of questions around parenting. I have dealt with seriously disturbed kids over the years in my teaching career. And as a result, I've had to ask myself a lot of questionings. When you work in an Arab country so many years, your English just disappears, man. It just goes to pot, because you're constantly dealing with people who speak broken English, and I'm constantly speaking English mixed up with Arabic words, because you kind of develop a new language, kind of a hybrid language, between English and the language where you live. Anyway, so that's a problem. Yeah. The longer I stay in Arabia, the less fluent I am in my own language, ironically. And also, the further I distance myself from my other native language, which is Afrikaans, which is original Dutch, I think, or an offshoot from Dutch, or Old Dutch. Anyway, that's just on a side note. So that's why you often wonder, probably you think, when you're listening to my videos, you're like, is this guy like an English speaker or what, a native English speaker or what? Yes, I am, and because I spent the last almost 6 years now, I'm on my 6th year in Arabia. One of these days I probably just will try to switch to Arabic and forget about it. Anyway, so teach kids and parenting, okay. Now, one of the mistakes I've noticed that our generation of parents have made, one of the big mistakes, even I myself, is that we grow up as kids seriously disliking certain things about our parents, right? Maybe they were too strict, maybe they were too rigid, maybe we just feel that our parents were mean, so we have like real issues, like a lot of people have issues with their parents, okay? And we tell ourselves that I'm not gonna be like that when I'm a parent, I'm gonna be lenient. I want my children to be able to be open with me. I want to be more of a friend to my kids, and I want my kids to have a lot more than I had growing up, okay? Because obviously family structures have changed a lot, A lot of today's parents are children of parents who had a lot more kids than they currently have. So a lot of the parents of today, who are now parents, they come from families where there were 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, in Arabia, even 12 or 20 kids, right? And now they are having kids. It's now their turn to have kids. And the ideas on having children and parenting and all of that have changed a lot. And one of the reasons is because we believe today that it is important for us to give our children abundance, and the main reason for that is because we didn't have it. We grew up poor, maybe, okay? Some of us anyway, right? And then our parents in turn had some ideas about their parents that they didn't like and then try to rectify it, and somehow overcompensate for it in how they raised us. And so this is kind of, where we tend to make our biggest mistakes in parenting. And that is simply, instead of focusing on parenting our children, we are busy fighting with our parents through how we choose to deal with our children. Okay? So we are busy having a disagreement and an argument with our parents, right? And choosing to use our children as the guinea pigs for our project, our parenting project, which we originally developed as children. And so how good could it really be, like how savvy, could your parenting ideas be when it evolved from the perspective of a child who felt disgruntled with his or her parents? And then we carry that into adulthood, and then we make decisions based on those childhood memories regarding what we would do as parents, and then we proceed to do it, and we create problems that we have not ourselves experienced as children, having been parented differently. And so that's kind of the dilemma of parenting, and I'm going to kind of highlight just a few issues. And one of it is many of us feel that our parents were too strict, right? And also that we were deprived of many things we would have liked. So what we do is we tend to be more lenient with our kids these days, and we tend to give them a lot more than we were used to, than we had. And what we're really doing is compensating for ourselves and our childhood, right? And thinking, okay, we will do better. And what actually happens is, guys, is we tend to do worse. We do worse. And I'll tell you why in a moment. You see, when children have firm rules and regulations that they have to adhere to, and when they often have to be denied things that they might have wanted, or that they want, or that they insist on, okay, it does two things for them. Firstly, having a life that is somewhat regimented, having a schedule, having a bedtime, having a dinner time, having a homework time, having a playtime, etc., teaches them discipline, but also makes them feel secure as children. Okay? They feel safe within the structure that the parent has created for them. Okay? Because they always know what to expect and what's next on the agenda. And having an agenda makes people feel secure, even adults. Okay? It is very unsettling. Yes, it may be exciting, but it's very unsettling not knowing where to next. Okay? And so children feel more loved and more secure and safe when they actually have a routine. And also they're able to achieve much more as children and become more disciplined adults later on in life. The second thing it does for them, which is the second part, not giving them necessarily what they want when they want it, is that it teaches them character. It teaches them that it is okay not to get what you want, and that not getting what you want is not the end of the world, and that not getting what you want doesn't necessarily have to make you unhappy or depressed, that you can take not getting what you want in your stride. So one of the big lessons that our parents taught us growing up in a home with many children and not necessarily being well-to-do, and then having to share and having to sacrifice and not being able to get what we want because there were just too many kids for that, is that actually we learned how to deal with failure. We learned how to cope with not getting and not having and having to share and having to give up things in the interest of the greater good, meaning your siblings, right? We also learned how to negotiate, how to stand our ground. And often when you have a lot of siblings, you got to stand your ground, otherwise you ain't going to get anywhere, okay? And so what we developed in the generation of the leaders of today, basically, are people who have ability, character, forbearance, and know how to cope with loss, with deprivation, and with not getting what you want. Okay, you have a leadership who are not on antidepressants, and you have a leadership who are capable and dynamic. And this is the last generation of that kind of leadership, unfortunately, because we should actually quake for the times that follow us. Thank you very much.